Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Admissions and Applying webinar. My name is Kasia Malarek, and I am AUC's Admissions Officer. Today's webinar will consist of two parts. In the first part, we will cover a little bit of theory about the application process. We will look at the application form. We will discuss the entry requirements and what to do in case of deficiencies. We will look at the admissions process and the timelines. We will also talk about what happens after you submit your application. The second part of the presentation will be dedicated to you and your questions. And here we will discuss live some of the more general relevant questions. You can ask your questions already throughout the webinar by using the Q&A icon situated at the bottom of your screen. And my colleagues will be working in the background to answer your questions. Just a little tip, if you have very individual questions pertaining to your personal situation, it is better to get in touch with us, and I will discuss how you can contact the admissions team at a later stage. So without further ado, let us start with the presentation and talk about what you should focus on before you start working on your application. What is important to remember is that the application for admissions at AUC goes through a system called Embark. You can find a direct link to our application form on our website. We receive a lot of questions about the study link enrollment. Please note that the study link is a separate system. Because we are a selective college, for us it only plays an administrative function. So the enrollment is necessary for you, but not at this stage. So please disregard disregard study link. We will guide you through the enrollment and necessary steps if you are selected for an offer at the later stage. For now, please make sure that you focus on submitting a complete application for admission through Embark. Before you start working on your application, please download and read our application guidelines document. This document consists of detailed information about what is required from you at every stage of the application. And please remember that you can submit your application without your recommendations not being completed yet. What we'll ask you at this stage is to provide us with details of your recommenders. We will ask for their names and email addresses, and that is enough for you to submit your application. Now, let us look at the application form itself. The application is quite detailed, and it consists of several parts. We will ask you for some personal information. We are also interested to know your academic interest, and here we will ask you to select your major, theme, and 3 tracks. Now, what is important to remember is that the choice of major is binding, and you won't be able to change your major after submitting your application, because the evaluation of your application and the decision will be rendered with that particular major in mind. With regards to theme and 3 tracks, this can be changed at a later stage. We ask you to submit them because we would like to know your areas of interest. But again, this can be changed at the later stage. Now, within the application form, we will ask you to prepare and submit 3 pieces of writing. We will ask about your motivation and self-assessment. We will ask you to reflect on AUC values, and we will ask you to prepare and upload a study plan. Now, within the motivation and self-assessment, we would like to get to know you a little bit better. We would like to know why have you chosen AUC? What attracted you to study liberal arts and sciences, but also what will you bring to the table as an AUC student. With regards to study plan, this exercise, the purpose of this exercise is for us to see whether you understand how the program is constructed, what will be the freedoms and constraints of choosing your own curriculum. And so we will ask you here to create a study plan for the first 2 years of study at AUC. You need to make sure that you familiarize yourself with information regarding the program, the courses that we offer, and what can be done here. And within the study plan, there are a lot of questions pertaining to the preferred format. There is no preferred format. However, you can download an example of a study plan from our website and use a tabular format for better visibility. So it is not a requirement. It's a tip. You can use the example of the study plan from the website. What is important to remember here is that the selection of courses within study plan at this stage is not binding. We will ask you to choose your courses once again upon starting your studies at AUC. And again, before you are ready to submit your application, before you're allowed to submit your application, we will ask you to register to academic references. Please note that without registering them, your application will be rejected. And as I've mentioned before, it is not required that your recommenders already submit completed forms before the 1st of February, before the deadline. We will be in direct contact with your recommenders to prompt them if needed, but please make sure that you need to register at least 2 academic references for your application to be complete. Now, a very important part of your application are grades. And here we ask you to submit transcripts of grades from 2 most recent years of your education. Please note that we do not accept predicted grades. In a situation where an applicant submits only predicted grades, we are unable to evaluate such an application, and unfortunately, we have to reject it. So it is important that you provide us with an overview of your actual grades from an extended period of time. If there are any specific circumstances that you would like to mention that might have affected your academic performance, please do so. You can do that in the self-assessment section, and that will be taken into account while evaluating your application. Now, let us look at the entry requirements. And there are 2 sets of entry requirements that we work with. First, we will look whether the applicant meets the minimum diploma requirements. These are country specific. And you can check what is needed in your case by going on to the AUC website and use our diploma calculator. You put the name of the country and it shows you exactly what you need diploma-wise. And on top of that, AUC works with selective requirements for English and math. Please note that unless you have been fully educated in English, we will ask you for a proof of English proficiency, and that also applies to those of you who follow a bilingual program. Now, the requirements regarding math differ per major, so please again visit our website and check what is needed. In your case. Generally speaking, you can meet our math requirements either via your diploma or via taking an external OMPT exam, the online math placement test. When you visit the website, you will see a list of educational systems that we can evaluate. If you come from a system that is mentioned on our website, you can meet your requirement. You can meet the math requirements via the grade on your diploma. But it might be that you'll have a math deficiency. And what does it mean? So either when your math grade is too low, or if you follow a math course that is not suited to your major. In this situation, you can still apply, but we will require you to meet your math requirements by taking the OMPT test. As I mentioned before, the OMPT is an online math placement test. It's a proctored math exam that you take online. OMPT comes in 3 variants, and the OMPT-A will be suitable for our social sciences candidates, OMPT-B for our science candidates, and OMPT-C for our humanities applicants. We will require you to obtain a grade of 75% or above. And you will have 2 attempts. If you are unsuccessful with the first attempt, you can always try again. But please bear in mind that if you fall into this category where your math program is mentioned on our website, but you have to meet your math requirement by taking the OMPT, we advise you to apply with the OMPT results already available. We are a selective program, and we do prioritize candidates who either already meet the math requirement or who are on track to meet the math requirement. So in your best interest is to have the OMPT results available at the moment of application. Please note that if you decide to apply without the OMPT result and you do have a math deficiency, it is likely that your application will be rejected. You can then appeal with the OMPT results. Now, what happens if your program is not listed on the website? That means that we are unable to evaluate the content of your math program. And in those situations, we will ask you to, once again, meet the math requirements by taking the OMPT exam. This is a little bit different situation to the previous category because we will assess the likelihood of meeting that requirement based on your current grade. And so if your grade indicates that you're likely to pass the OMPT result, you can you can apply without the OMPT. It's not going to disadvantage your application. However, it is possible that AUC will cover the cost of your OMPT exam. The condition is that you take it before the 1st of April. So if you are interested, if you fall into this particular category, if your program is not listed on the website, please inquire whether it will be possible for us to cover the cost of your OMPT. We will ask you to provide us with your name and email address, and then provide you with a purchase code, which you can then use in the OMPT Zavisa web shop. What is important is that we will cover the cost of the exam only. So if there are any preparatory materials that you would like to purchase or any mock exams, that's also possible, but that would be within your own discretion. And the code can be used only once. So once again, if your first attempt is unsuccessful, you would like to try again, that's possible, but the second attempt would have to be paid by you. Now, with regards to the admissions process and the timelines, we are approaching the deadline for the regular round of applications, which is set for the 1st of February, midnight Amsterdam time. So once again, please make sure that your applications are complete and that they are submitted within the deadline. Again, recommendation forms can be submitted after. And please note that if you are late, if you submit your application on the 2nd of February, there is a chance that your application will not be processed. We plan to close the application portal on the 2nd of February. The decisions will be rendered in the 1st week of April. And it is possible that we will have additional small round of offers in May. This is still to be decided, but it is possible. Now, once your application is submitted, it will be reviewed by 2 independent reviewers. And the possible outcomes are as follows. You can be selected for an offer. Your application can be rejected right away, or you can be placed on the waiting list. If you receive an offer, we will give you a specific period of time. Normally it is 4 weeks to consider and respond to the offer. If we don't hear from you, if you don't accept the offer on time, unfortunately, we will have to rescind it. Please remember that the offer is for a specific start date. It is not possible to defer your entry at AUC. If for any reason you are unable to come, that's absolutely fine, but you will have to then apply once again. If there are any changes to your current situation, once you know if anything happens that would prevent you from coming to AUC, please let us know as soon as possible. And as mentioned before, once you accept the offer, we will then contact you to guide you through the next steps regarding the study link enrollment. We will also make sure that you'll have all the relevant information regarding visa and housing. And before we move to the second part of our webinar, I would like to share with you some important links that might be quite helpful in completing your application and getting familiar with AUC and our program. I would direct you to our website to read about the admissions and aids. So if you are interested in applying for a scholarship, you can find information there as well. Very important is to familiarize yourself with the application guidelines document. It's a downloadable document. You will find a direct link to this document in the application form as well. But I cannot stress enough how important it is that you will work with this document while completing your application. And then again, if there is a possibility or any of you would like to apply for a transfer of credit, again, the relevant information can be found on our website. And if you have any specific question or you get stuck, please contact us directly. On the website, under the tab Contact Admissions, you can find a contact form, so you can contact us via email. But we also are available for you every Tuesday at 1, where you can speak to someone from the admissions office directly through a Zoom digital meeting. The link is also available on the website, and once again, we are available every Tuesday at 1 Amsterdam time. So thank you so much for this first part. I hope it was informative. And now we would like to move to the second part of our webinar, where we will discuss your questions live. And I would like to invite my colleague Benjamin to join us.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Benjamin. I work in the communications office at AUC. And along with Bob and Jack, we've been keeping track of your questions, hopefully answering some of your questions. And we're now going to kind of aggregate and bring the most popular questions to discuss out loud. So if you have questions, keep putting them in the Q&A box. And yeah, so one of the most popular questions so far was about the study plan. So not the format of the study plan, but what should I do to explain it? Do I have to explain extra? So for example, you submit the tabular format. Do you need to then write something? Do you need to reason your choices? So maybe explain a little bit what we're looking for.
Absolutely. So we would like to see what is the reasoning behind you choosing certain courses at certain periods of time. So yes, we would like you to provide a short justification of your study plan. It doesn't have to be long, but that would definitely help. It's not a requirement, but it's always nice to see when a candidate explains their choices.
Okay. Now, thank you. And another question we have maybe about the technical aspect, and I've seen it pop up before as well. So what happens if you want, for example, to add additional documents, or you have something else you want to express, maybe more than that's allowed, let's say, in the format given?
Yes.
What should they do?
Yeah, so it is true that the application form is restricted, and we're only allowed for 2 entries with regards to the extracurricular activities, but the applicants can take advantage of the additional upload fields. So there is a possibility of adding additional upload fields within the application form at the very end. And if there is, if you want to include an extra document, or if you would like to give us more information about your extracurricular activities, you can use those fields to do so.
Okay. So switching topics a little bit, because this is about math requirements. We've had a couple questions come in about VWO math. So for example, if you want to apply, just so everyone knows, if you haven't seen it, each major has a different requirement in terms of math. And what would you do, for example, if you want to apply to the social sciences major, but you're taking wiskunde B? So would you then accept like a less
Yes,
grade than an
yeah,
8?
yeah. It is
And how
always
would that filter through?
Yes, absolutely. So it is always possible to apply with higher level math for a major which has lower requirements. So if an applicant wants to apply for social sciences with wiskunde B, it's absolutely possible, and then we will require a lower grade. So instead of 8, we will require 7.
Okay. We had this pop up before. Again, we're just going to be jumping topics now because they're coming in. About deferrals. So is it possible to defer? So say you apply, you get accepted, and you say, maybe I want to take a gap year, something changed, I can't come this year. And what are the conditions maybe of deferrals?
Yes, so we do not offer deferment options. The application is always submitted for a particular entry point, and if for any reason the applicant cannot come or changes their mind, unfortunately they will have to reapply in the following year. And what is important is that the previous decision doesn't play a role in the new application. So if, for example, you have been accepted to a program for, let's say, September 2023, you decide not to come and you decide to apply again in the following year, the decision that you've obtained previously does not play any role. It doesn't play a negative role, it doesn't play a positive role. Your application is evaluated anew, and we do not really track the previous decisions.
Okay. No, that's good to know. We've also been getting, this is maybe not related to admissions, but I just want to answer this because there's been quite a few questions about, and I think it's happening when people are going to fill in their study plan, about prerequisites for courses. So I just want to mention out loud to everyone, if you're looking for what the prerequisites are for a course, you can type in that course name into work. We have the course catalog on our website. It brings you to the study gids of the UvA, so the study guide of the UvA. And then you search the name, and under that description, you can get more info, and there it will list if there's any prerequisites for that course. So just so everyone's clear how you find that.
Just to add to that, what is important is that you click the see more button, because you won't see the prerequisites until you actually expand the whole entry.
Yes. Another question, jumping again. For the diploma calculator on the website. So say they're saying there's a degree that's not listed, that they can't find their degree listed. Should they just contact you guys, the admissions office, or? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It can happen that diploma calculator will not have all the countries listed. It is absolutely possible. Please get in touch with the admissions office directly, and then we will look at your individual case and then advise. Okay,
great. And let's see, for recommendations, is it possible to have more than 2 recommendations?
It is possible to register more than 2 academic references, yes.
Okay. That was another question that came up.
Yes, but if we are talking about the recommendation, what is recommendation letters, what is important to remember that we do not take into consideration any recommendation letters uploaded by the applicants in the application by themselves. So we look at the recommendation forms that come directly from your academic references, but we do not take into consideration the letters that you've uploaded yourself.
Okay. Let's see, going through the questions now. So if I don't have the required average in maths, should I take the OMPT test or wait to see if I need to take it? So I guess this is a question more, and I think maybe relevant for more people. if you're hesitating about taking the OMPT test because you're thinking, okay, my math might not be there, should I just take it and apply with that grade, or should I wait and see if I need to take it, getting a conditional saying you to fill this gap?
So if you're applying from, if you come from a system that is listed on our website, and your grade, your current grade, your current academic performance indicates that you're likely to meet the requirement, we will assume that you will. If it happens that later on during the final exams, you will receive a grade that is inadequate, and you have been in the meantime selected for an offer, we will then ask you to meet your math requirement by taking the OMPT. But it's your decision. You can decide to take the OMPT preemptively if you feel that you might not, if there are, if there are reasonable doubts that you might not receive the grade that you wish.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm just seeing we're getting quite a few questions about, I can help answer this too, about 100, 200, 300 levels and first, second, and third year. So I can discuss that as well. The way the program's structured, 100, 200, 300 gives an indication of how advanced the course is. It doesn't necessarily link to that year. So for example, if you were to meet the prerequisites of a 300 level course in your second year, you could theoretically take that course. It's not saying all 100 level courses are for your first year, 200 level for your second year, 300 for your third year. And to know which courses are at the 300 level, you can look at the link that also Jack, my colleague, and I put in the chat that goes to show you the kind of the placemat overview. So you can find it. It's also in the course code. It's explained if you look in the course catalog, but the easiest place is the placemats. Let's see.
There is a question regarding Duolingo and whether we accept that as a proof of English proficiency. Unfortunately not. So on our website, you will see a list of acceptable exams that we will take into consideration. Generally speaking, that would be IELTS, TOEFL, or the Cambridge Advanced English.
Okay. Let's see. It says, and this may be a good question, will my application be rejected directly if I do not meet the math requirement and the diploma is listed on the website, or can I hand in an OMPT test after the deadline?
Well, there is no requirement that you have to apply with your OMPT results already available, but because we are a selective college, we will prioritize applicants who already meet or are on track to meet the math requirements. So if you are applying with a math deficiency, you risk your application being immediately rejected. Yes.
Okay. Okay, and so now I've seen this question pop up a couple times now for when you're submitting your transcripts, we're requesting for the previous 2 years of education. And it says, how many years should the transcript we submit the date back to? Like, so how long back should the transcripts go if you're submitting for the,
so normally
as your primary form of education?
Yeah, so normally we would look at 2 years of education, so 2 most recent years. But again, this is a guideline. So if for any reason you have your grades for 1 year, that's also possible. The reason why we ask for the transcript is that we would like to avoid assessing applicants based on one exam or one particular grade for a subject. So we would like to have a visibility into academic performance for a prolonged period of time.
Okay, to get an indication of what the performance was,
Yeah.
so not just half a year, but also not so far back that
no, absolutely. And please remember that most of our applicants are still in the process of completing their final year of high school. So we do not have access to their final grades. So what we do, we assess the likelihood of an applicant meeting the requirements based on their current academic performance.
Okay. Okay, so this came up a couple times, and there's a person who phrased this quite funny, which I can understand, said, I've applied to liberal arts and sciences via the VU. It redirects me to dentistry. It's a disaster. What do I do now?
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. That's a great question because and it's very important question. And this brings us back to our discussion regarding StudyLink and EMBA. So what happened in this case is that you've probably applied through the StudyLink. and you are unable to complete your enrollment. Again, the application for admissions at AUC goes through a system called Embark, and the link to the application form is visible on our website. It's auc.nl. We have our own separate website with our own admissions process. So please disregard the information at full. Please refer to our own website and follow the information there.
Okay. So let's see, this is a good question because I think this does trip some people up. So when you're submitting documents to AUC, so you have to do your transcript, your diplomas, these type of things. The question is it just a copy, or do we need ones with stamps of approval, seals, signatures, right when they apply?
No, so for the purpose of application and for the purpose of assessment, you can submit documents that are not certified. So you can provide us with photocopies of your transcripts. If you are selected for an offer, before we actually can confirm your acceptance, you will be requested at a later stage to provide us with certified paper copies. But for now, the unofficial copies and scans are sufficient.
So I know we already touched on this, but it is something that keeps coming up, and I think it will continue to come up. But so the question is surrounding, I get my first semester grades right after the application is due. So basically, I want to show you that maybe my grades improved after the application. When do I submit those grades?
So it won't be possible for you to add any additional information once the application is submitted. So we will then work with what you have submitted within the application file. It is unfortunate that your grades will come just after the deadline, but unfortunately we cannot really add them anymore. It is not possible. So we will base the assessment on the grades that you have submitted, that you have available so far.
And this was a question I had flagged from earlier, but I think it's relevant to address now. So, for example, if there are any issues with the application, will we be made aware of that by admissions? And can we change that even if it's after the deadline? So maybe discussing what the contact is so people can expect, like after you submit your application, what is the procedure?
Once you submit your application, the application goes under review, and from that moment on, you are unable to change anything in the application. That's why it's extremely important that you double check, triple check that the application is submitted complete. So please check that your grade transcripts are attached, that your study plan is attached, that your recommendations are registered, and that you have uploaded the required pieces of writing, so your self-assessment and motivation, and the reflection on AUC values, because we have no physical possibility to actually get back to you and tell you that your application is incomplete. Once you submit, it goes under the review, and then the decision will be sent to you once it's available.
So just seeing this pop up now, and I just want to avoid this confusion. So it says, the person saying, it says the deadline is till July after acceptance, but that's for official copies of your diplomas, transcripts, and things. That's not considered in the application process. So please don't confuse that you can submit these documents until July. You have to submit these documents after, but they're not considered in the applying process. Correct?
Yes,
that in the
yes, absolutely. So if you come from, so I will just give you a practical example. So the deadline of the 1st of July applies to candidates who are selected for an offer. And please remember that all the offers that we send out are conditional, subject to applicants meeting the entry requirements will their final grade or otherwise. So the 1st of July deadline applies to candidates selected for an offer who needs to supply evidence of entry requirements being met.
Okay. No, that's clear. And I think it's good to emphasize that point, because I think a lot of people don't understand when we talk about conditional offer, that the conditions are not entirely specific to one person. Everybody gets a conditional offer. Yes. Because you haven't actually, or many people, they have not finished high school yet and they've gone through the whole process yet.
Yes, so. And in a situation when you have finished your high school and your final diploma is available, within the application file will receive it in a digital form. For us to formally confirm the acceptance, we need to receive certified paper copies of the documents. So in any situation, regardless whether you are still in the process of completing your high school or whether you've completed, your offer will always be conditional.
Okay. good to know. So we have an interesting, let's see, I'd like to answer this one. Is it okay to mention in the motivation letter to leave out the interest for foreign languages? Are these likely to be cut out in the future? What about the study plan and self-assessment? I'd like to say that, of course, programs will always be developing. There will always be slight changes to the curriculum, but you should apply based on what the conditions are on the website this year. So in the future, they will not be cut out of the program, that I can tell you for sure in the coming years. There may be some changes, slight changes to graduation requirements and things like that, but that doesn't impact this admission cycle. So please follow the ASMP, Academic Standards and Procedures, as you see on the website this year, as the information as this year. So not projecting into the future. Yeah, it's okay if you don't mention that you love foreign languages in your motivation letter. That's not a problem. It's your motivation, but you should certainly include them if it's part of your study plan. Let's see. So some really specific questions.
If you have very specific questions, please contact us directly via the contact form, or you will still have one last opportunity to actually meet with us before the deadline on Tuesday. I think that's the last day where we will be available for you within the Zoom meeting at 1. So if there are any last minute questions, please take an opportunity of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can also check in one more time for much more specific questions. Let's see. So just to clarify, the study plan or structure that we're pointing out on the website is a sample study plan. So it's not the only study plan. So you don't have to follow and fill in place for place for each course that's listed there. But it does help give you an indication. You should also very carefully read the text that's printed there, because those are the major requirements and the academic core requirements. How you arrange those is subject to it. You'll have to do some research about that.
Absolutely, but you can take the that example as as your base, and as you work through your study plan, it can help you also to organize the courses visually.
And another good question, because I think this will be for other systems, specifically mentioning the IB diploma, what happens if those results are only released after 1st July? So we have the 1st July deadline. So what happens if the system is not their fault?
No, absolutely. We are aware that different educational systems have different timelines for releasing the final results, and so the 1st of July is an indicative date, but we will always wait for the applicants to submit. So just to give you an example, for instance, the Irish Living Certificate only comes in the 1st week of September. We are aware of those timelines, and so we will always accommodate that.
Okay, so now a question about the application form itself and word count. So the person's asking, if I have to submit my study plan and my motivation, who I am, etc., that's easily over 500 words because the study plan takes up a lot of words.
Yes.
So what should they do in this case?
So the study plan has a separate word count, so that's 500 words, and then you have 500 words for your motivational self-assessment, and another 500 words for the reflection on AUC values. So there's plenty of space.
So we've been listing a lot of resources tonight, and I don't want to confuse people with these, but so yes, when you're going to, this is about the course catalog. So the course catalog is from the University of Amsterdam. That's one of our parent or founding institutes. So from the Free University and the University of Amsterdam. You will see, of course, other courses listed there. Those are not all AUC courses. Your specific question is, can you pick these in your study plan? I would not start picking those in the study plan because they're not given at AUC. You can, in certain circumstances, take courses off campus, but you first have to apply for approval from what we call the Board of Examiners. So those are not what we consider kind of standard run AUC courses. So please filter on the AUC under Institute on that course catalog, but then you'll see only courses given at AUC.
There is a question regarding calculus, and I think that's quite interesting, because the person is saying that they have a prior knowledge. And so whether there is a need to take the calculus course, and that is an interesting question, because at the beginning of the semester, usually we run an exam, calculus exam, that will allow you to get an exemption from that course. So maybe that's interesting to know, is that it is possible to be exempted by taking the exam.
Okay, no, that's good to know, and I hope other people also have heard if they have the similar question. We have a question: what is the maximum number of electives per semester? That's a tough one to answer because it depends how you structure your program. There's also, for example, some students study abroad, so that would be an entire kind of semester, and they would take all their courses abroad, but they have to get approval first. But I think this goes back to the diagram that we are showing, and like I said, it's not a maximum, it's not set in stone, that's just a sample. So please read the academic standards and procedures, and also the text attached to that.
Yes, I would say also, I mean, for the purpose of submitting the study plan within the application form and the assessment, I would say please stick to the guidelines. If you have any individual circumstances, once you start your studies at AUC, you will work with your personal tutor and a study advisor that will help you with the course selection to make sure that your study plan is coherent. But for the purpose of completing the study plan for the application, please follow the guidelines.
Yes, and another question that I've been seeing, it's a good question because of course people are following, which is good, the Dutch news about what the minister has maybe been saying about promotion to foreign students. So about going abroad and activities abroad. And this question is it true that the quota for foreign students at Dutch universities will decrease in future imposed by the government? I just want to clarify, there's been no discussion of quotas. There's no discussion of actually changing yet. So it's maybe going, but that's not going to affect our program. And all that's been decided now is that, for example, universities will not actively promote abroad, so visiting foreign fairs. As of right now, and of course, Kasia can hop in if I'm misstating something, but there's been no discussions of capping the limit of foreign students or quotas from that level.
I mean, within the assessment, what is taken into consideration first and foremost is the academic eligibility in terms of in terms of quality applicants. So we look at your academic performance, and we look at the fit between you and AUC, and regardless whether you which country you come from, you're assessed in the same way.
I think that's a very good point to make, that the entire process is the same for all applicants. So not just it's not a different track for Dutch or for international ones. A good question, because it's also maybe reveals something about the process of applying and how the applications are considered. So how do the extracurricular activities impact kind of your application overall? Like how much are those looked at? How much are those considered?
So I will take a step back, and I will tell you why we have only 2 entries in the application form for extracurricular activities, and we've had more in the past. But because we work with international applicants, we've seen that the extracurricular activities are not equally popular in different parts of the world, or they are not equally they are not as important, and students coming from different parts of the world put different emphasis on presenting them. And so just to avoid that discrepancy and to take the to take into consideration and offer everyone the same chances of being admitted, the extracurricular activities are taken into account within the assessment process, but they play a supplementary role. So first and foremost, we look at grades, at your academic performance, we look at your motivation, and then at the later stage, before the decision is made, we look at the additional information in the application form to complete the decision.
Okay, and now going back to one of our favorite subjects, the study plan. So the question is there an empty table/grid for the study plan, or is there something like that, or do I just make my own? So I think
you can do both. I mean, as mentioned before, we do have We do have an example of study plan available on the website. You can use that. You can also, I mean, I have seen applicants doing different things with the study plan, from using a table, from using a tabular format, to actually presenting it in a narrative way. That's also possible. So there is no specific requirement. You can use your own initiative. What is important is that the study plan is clear and well argued.
That's a good description, and I think that's how the study plan should be. So not to get too caught up on format, but more expressing clearly what you will your first 2 years, what you will take, and a little bit why. I think that's so let's see. So one question is interesting, and I think this comes probably from someone maybe applying to U.S. schools as well. Is AUC a need blind or a need aware university ? And I think this links back to financials, how your financial situation is considered when you're applying. And I think,
well, we do not look into your financial situation from an admissions point of view. I mean, we do ask within the application form whether the applicant is aware of the financial implications while studying at AUC, but we do not look into that in detail at all. What is the most important is that the applicant meets the requirements, that they present a good fit. So we first and foremost look at the quality of application. Not sure if that answers the question.
I think that answers the question, because sometimes it is considered, especially in US application processes, as a condition for admission or coming there. But I think that's covers what the question was. So there's a question about the application form that maybe you know better than I do, especially on Embark. Can't seem to understand what the format, the hours per week spent on activity, has to be in under other experiences on Embark. How should this be written? So I think that's quite a.
Can you repeat the question? I missed that.
On the form, so on the application form in Embark, there's a section hours per week spent on activity in other experiences. Yeah. And how should this be written, or what should they say?
You can just indicate a numerical value. I mean, we do ask for the indication, but just so we have an idea how much time you spend on it. I mean, we have applicants who aside of their regular school obligations, they also spend 15 to 20 hours a week on on additional activity, and that's that gives also an indication of the type of person that we are dealing with, if that makes sense.
Yes. A good question from someone, and it links back to kind of how you show your previous education experience or record. So if they attended a different school system in 10th grade, does that count as an additional institution? And should they therefore upload the grades from that school too? So yes, say they switch systems in the time that. Yeah.
Yes, so it's best to upload as whatever you have, just to show a full picture. We're quite familiar with applicants switching from one system to another, but it's always best to present all of the grades that you have, because we need to be able to fill in the gaps. And so it's important that there is an overview of the full picture.
Okay.
Also, sorry, just to add, if we're talking about the grades, if you are in a situation where you have already started a university and you wanted, you've decided that this is not a good choice for you, and you want to apply to AUC, please also attach the grades that you've obtained during your first year at the university. So not only your final diploma, but also your current grades.
Okay. This is clear.
The reason for this is it comes down again to the assessment of likelihood of meeting the requirements. We want to know where you are academically and what is your current academic performance.
Okay, now that's clear. And we had a question about recommendations. Is there a preferred type of person, or who you should ask for a recommendation? So who would be, not the ideal recommendation, but one of the types of people, I guess, to ask.
So most of our applicants, most of our recommendation forms come from high school teachers. And this relates to the fact that most of our applicants are in the process of completing their high school. So that's the most obvious person that you would go to, but that's not a requirement. I mean, what we would like to see are recommendations coming from people that you have a professional relationship with, someone who knows you very well on an academic level. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It can be also your tutor that you work with outside of the classroom. That's also possible, but it cannot be someone who you have a personal relationship with. So, for example, a member of your family.
Okay. And so just so everyone knows that's still tuning in, we're approaching kind of the last 5-6 minutes before we wrap up. So please put any last minute questions in. Otherwise, there's always next Tuesday, as Kasia said, to visit the admissions office hour. Let me see. We had someone, let's see. Okay, another question about the order, the academic, as soon as you talk about the recommendations, nice to see these questions and people listening. So should your academic recommenders have already submitted their recommendation in order for you to submit your application?
No.
Big no.
No. So please don't worry about that. We do understand that the recommendations are outside of your control. I mean that you rely on a third party to to complete and submit them. So no, you can submit a complete application without having the reference letters submitted already. What is important is that you register the details of your recommenders, because you won't be able to add them later. And also you won't be able to submit an application without registering at least 2 recommenders.
And when you register that recommender, maybe some advice, please let them know that you've done that.
Yes,
Correct?
They will receive,
to inform them.
Yes, absolutely. They will receive an automatic invitation from us to complete the form. So we will tell them that they have been nominated and then what is expected from them. But it would be nice if you could prompt them as well. Yes. It is possible that the email will go to the spam folder and they won't see it immediately. So it's always good to follow up.
Okay, and another question, maybe more about the content of the personal statement and self-assessment, this portion of the application. Is it smart to mention other ways you're interested in AUC that are non-academic? For example, that you like to work with internationals, cultures, what you like to live with. So what are you guys looking for? Like more than academics?
Always. So what we are looking for is to get to know our applicants better in a holistic way. So not only from an academic point of view, but also what drives them, what they are interested in, what kind of people they are. Maybe it's also good to mention how how they are giving back to society, something a little bit about social engagement. But anything that can tell you more about that can tell us more about you is welcome.
So essentially getting to know the complete applicant, so not just these grades on paper, not just these courses taken, but also what you offer in a community situation and coming to AUC and why. I think that's fair.
Yeah, we would like to see a human being, an applicant, coming out of the written information that we will receive.
So now, question about, it's a little bit confusing, but it's about the restriction on choosing classes in your major for the study plan. Can it only be under the field of study track that we select and embark? So I guess the relationship between doing your study plan and indicating your area of interest.
Yes, you don't have to stick to a particular area of interest. You can choose courses that will combine different tracks. So that's it is not required that you will only stick to the courses that follow on one area of interest. Absolutely not. You can mix and match.
Okay, so we're getting to the end of the questions at the moment, so I think it's maybe good time to wrap up. So if there's any last minute questions, of course, everybody that's listening, you can always contact us. So about more specific questions, especially if it's a situation that's very particular to you, so not a general one, please either email admissions@auc.nl or tune into the office hour next Tuesday.
Just before we wrap up, a word about the admissions office hours, the Zoom link that we offer every Tuesday. If it happens that you join the meeting but you're not immediately let in, that means that I'm currently with a student. Lately, it has been really busy within the admissions office hours, and it has been. I've seen a lot of applicants joining the waiting room and then after a while disappearing. So please be patient. Be patient. You will be let in. It's just a matter of time. Sometimes you just have to wait. Those meetings are one-on-one. We are discussing the individual situation, so it can be that you will have to wait for a while.
Great. That's a very good point. And I think with that, we can round off the webinar. So thank you, of course, to Kasia for presenting and answering all these questions in the past hour. Thank you to Bob and Jack, who have been diligently answering questions in the background. And again, if you have any more questions, like I said, the office hour or the email.
Thank you so much. All the best with completing your applications. And again, if you have any questions, I look forward to hearing from you.
And of course, remember the deadline is 1st February. So please, please, please make sure you submit your application on time. And with that, we wish you a very good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.